I think you're really going to have a search for the soul of the Republican Party. You've had 148 members of the House and the Senate, so 139 in the House and 8 senators, who voted against certifying the electoral outcome. And the electoral outcome is as clear as day that that's the way the election turned out, and they wouldn't certify it even after the mob assault on the Capitol. And so you're going to have a very divided Republican Party between people like Senator Romney, Senator Toomey, who you just heard on your show, and others who may still contend that the election was fraudulent. I think we're going to have to watch which of these legislators goes to the inauguration, which of these Republican legislators is working to work across partisan lines to do legislation, co-sponsor legislation. Are they willing to move forward the process of democracy, or are we going to have polarization? Of course, the world is interested in that because you really need the U.S. economy ticking. You need the U.S. to be able to be a unified force on the global stage at this time of public health crisis and economic recession.
I'm going to be fascinated, Fred, to see where his first foreign policy trip is actually going to be. And all bets are off, I guess, with COVID. But would it have been China? Would it have been somewhere in Europe? My question, though, is, quite infamously, I had an interview with Lance Armstrong a couple of months ago, and I asked him, what his advice would be to President Trump in terms of, the media fracas ahead of the election. And he said, if I were him, I would negotiate a cap on my legal fees. Now, when you look at what's happened over the last week or so, he's lost his PGA tie-up. We're talking about, breaking, constitutional commitments as president at this point. We're talking about a future that could involve all kinds of legal action, including impeachment. Where do you see President Trump going from here?
Well, again, this last week changed a lot, but I think he's after 3 or 4 things. First of all, he wanted to assure that he could continue to be the kingmaker in the Republican Party, potentially give himself a path open to run for president again in 2024. I think that's under greater doubt now. But we'll see. The second thing is he does want to be able to avoid prosecution. There's still, in the next 10 days, the chance that he would pardon himself. That is a constitutional question whether he can do that, but he can do that for federal crimes, but not, state prosecutors. And there's some work being done in New York. He can't do much about that. Third thing is he does have a lot of debt. And so he has to come out of this in such a way that he can raise more money for his businesses, particularly a new media business that he is said to want to start. And then finally, he wants to take care of his family so that Ivanka and Donald Jr., Eric, still have a future in their business and potentially a future in politics. He definitely wanted a future for Ivanka Trump in politics. So he really does have an agenda going out, but we have to see what these next 10 days do to change all of that.